Hello, and welcome to my review of AEW Collision Grand Slam 2024, the second part of the AEW Grand Slam special from Arthur Ashe, which I believe was pre-taped on Wednesday, but broadcast last night. I'm going to talk about the show, what I thought about each individual match, what I thought of the show in general. Also talk about my predictions that I did on a video, which is really funny for a WWE show. I can't believe someone called me that. That's wild. Anyway, opening match was Saraya versus Jamie Hayter in a Saraya's Rules match, which is basically there's no rules for Saraya, there's all of the rules for Jamie Hayter. I couldn't remember I couldn't remember who I predicted for this. I actually just watched back my predictions video before recording this to find out. I predicted Jamie Hayter to win, which is who I thought I'd predicted, but I genuinely couldn't 100% remember. Anyway, Harley Cameron, who, by the way, grabbed the microphone before this match started and said, "We've added another rule," basically admitting they were making up the rules as they go along, which is kind of funny. Which is that and I quote, "Match does not begin until Saraya slaps the slag." So, lovely stuff. And I put, Saraya could have simply not slapped Hayter. If the heels were playing this smart, they would have simply beaten down Jamie Hayter until she was basically beaten, hit her with the finish and everything, then just stand over her, slap her, the referee rings the bell, and then you pin her. Right? But no, instead, Jamie Hayter stood there with her hands behind her back and her chin out, and Saraya actually did slap her, which was just silly. Anyway, so yeah, the match got underway with that. Now, I don't tend to do a lot of play-by-play stuff in these reviews, but I do want to rattle off some of the weaponry that was used in this. Harley Cameron hit Jamie Hayter with a VCR. There was a keyboard and the card of said keyboard, like a computer keyboard, used. A baseball bat, a lead pipe. Saraya hit Hayter with a chair, which knocked Hayter and Harley Cameron off the turnbuckle through the table at ringside with toy cars on it, because one of them didn't break, and that's what took Harley Cameron out, because obviously she'd been interfering the whole match. By the way, her straddling Jamie Hayter and strangling her, call me Harley. Hayter at one point put Saraya through a table in the corner, which granted she didn't set up, but still, is that not a DQ per the rules of the match? Whatever. She won the match with a tombstone and then a short arm clothesline for the 3, and I predicted that correctly. So 1 from 1, baby, keeping the Dynamite streak going. Of course, on Dynamite, I was 5 from 5. So yeah, and I was talking about how great at predicting AEW I am, and how that was definitely going to come back to bite me. We shall see. Up next was the conglomeration represented by Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy versus the Learning Tree, who are obviously Brian Keith, Big Bill, and Chris Jericho. And I had this thought when the Learning Tree's music hit, which is Jericho shouting, "I am the Learning Tree" at the start. Is that like a little bit of an indirect dig at WWE and how everyone hates those little stings in WWE entrance music? I'm trying to think of an example. Naomi saying N-A-O-M-I at the start, and there's loads of examples of really bad examples of that. I think Zelina Vega's music, they just literally say Zelina Vega at the start of the song, and I think there's loads of examples of it. Is that a little bit of a dig, but also a way to get heat because he knows people hate it? Just curious, because Jericho does a lot of meta stuff, so that could very well be another one of those. Anyway, so Jericho tried to use a roll of coins, but was countered with Orange Cassidy hitting him with his backpack, which he then revealed right in front of the referee has a brick in it. So I take it this is no DQ. I know there's no tags, I know it's Tornado, and I know by proxy there's no countouts in Tornado tag matches, but I don't think it was ever announced that this was no DQ. But yeah, Jericho hit an AA onto Mark Briscoe, onto the chair that Briscoe set up for his outside dive. He hit a code breaker on, I think, Mark Briscoe again, with a chair assist. Then he hit Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly with a chair. Then a table was set up, and then Mark Briscoe was chokeslammed through the table by Big Bill off the top rope, and then pinned by Jericho. So yeah, I'm guessing this was no DQ, guys. But yeah, I also couldn't quite remember who I predicted on this one, but I put probably conglomeration, and yet that is indeed what I predicted. So that puts me 1 from 2. And to the horror of absolutely everyone, Jericho, having pinned Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, started signaling he wanted the title, which, oh no. Please God, no. Tony Khan, no, don't do it. So I was 1 from 2 on predictions so far. Brody King versus Action Andretti, which was set up on Rampage, was next. So obviously I didn't predict it because it wasn't pre-announced before Dynamite. And I put in my notes, but surely Brody King wins this. Andretti got a little offense in early using his speed and targeting Brody King's legs. But yeah, King came back, dominated, and won quickly with his cannonball in the corner. Had I counted that as a prediction, I'd be 2 from 3, but I'm not going to because I've no way of proving to you I predicted that before the match. But I think that was fairly obvious, guys, don't you? Anyway, I'm going to stick with one out of 2. Then, Top Flight and Leo Rush, because apparently it's only the tag team are called Top Flight. I would just name the entire faction Top Flight instead of Top Flight, Leo Rush, and Action Andretti. That's just silly. Just call the whole thing Top Flight. I don't know. So they came down to the ring to help out Action Andretti, and they got attacked from behind by Lance Archer and the Righteous. So that'll be a trios match at some point. Like, you know. Next, we saw the Scapegoat Gus. Oh, that's a new creative wrestler right there. Scapegoat. Oh, I can't. Blah, 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 blah. I can't even say it wrong now. Scapegoat Gus coming to WWE 2K24 soon. Yeah, no, the Scapegoat bus was shown like traveling through New York, and then shown arriving in the arena in what was definitely not 2 very separately recorded parts. So it was Open Challenge time. I think I predicted Adam Copeland to return and win the Open Challenge, which was a wild prediction, if we're being honest. The safe prediction would have been Jack Perry to retain, no matter who answered the call, but whatever. Anyway, Minoru Suzuki answered the Open Challenge, which was a really fun surprise. I put he's probably not winning, but fun surprise. It's a classic Suzuki match, lots of no-selling and what have you, and laughing at his opponent. Suzuki at one point just hit Jack Perry in the midsection with a chair right in front of Aubrey Edwards and didn't get disqualified. Apparently this whole show is no DQ. Whether it is or isn't. It just is. Anyway, towards the end of the match, they were on a count out, and Jack Perry's telling Aubrey Edwards to keep counting. He's got Suzuki lined up for draping DDT off the apron, and Edwards is lecturing him, and he's saying, no, keep counting. I think that was on about 6. So he hits the hanging DDT onto the floor, and then a running knee to Suzuki into the steps on like 8 into 9, and then just slides into the ring and takes the count-out win, which I thought was a really, really good finish. Some people don't like finishes like this, and if they're overdone, I agree, but Jack Perry is a proper cowardly heel. Minoru Suzuki should not be losing, especially not clean, to Jack Perry, in my opinion. That just doesn't feel realistic at this stage in both guys' careers. Jack Perry just doesn't feel credible enough to actually beat Suzuki. You know, like, I just don't believe that. If they did that, I'd just be like, that feels fake. But this way, he did actually beat Suzuki within the rules of a wrestling match. But Suzuki doesn't have to get pinned or whatever. And, yeah, it's Jack Perry being, like, smart and cowardly and sneaky and dastardly. I think it was great. And showing smarts in not having any time to prepare for Suzuki, but being able to come up with a strategy on the fly to stop someone who, as he proved in the first part of the match, is pretty unstoppable in Minoru Suzuki. So, yeah, I like that. Then Jack Perry went for the post-match attack on Suzuki, but Shibata made the save, so I guess we're going to see Jack Perry versus Shibata at some point. I could see Jack Perry beating Shibata, weirdly enough, but not Suzuki. Anyway, up next, Trios Championships, where Claudio Castagnoli and Pac came out first, then Wheeler Yuta came out of the other tunnel after quite a delay. They're the champions, obviously defending against Commander and Private Party. I put Wheeler Yuta's doing some of the best character work in wrestling at the moment. It's him and one other for me. Yuta was refusing tags. Eventually, Claudio like just chopped him to enforce a tag and went for the swing into dropkick combo that they do. And Wheeler Yuta just turned his back and leaned on the ropes, kind of like Hook does at the start of a match. He just did that. He just refused, which I thought was really fun. Yuta even stepped out the way to allow Commander to run the ropes and dive out onto Claudio. Like, he's just not in this trio at all. But then one of Private Party, the one who got his hand hurt, I've forgotten his name. Not Quinn, the other one. Cassidy. Is it Cassidy? Let's go with Cassidy, even if it's not. Tried to roll up on Yuta, who was the legal man at this point, and that seemed to wake Yuta up. I thought it would have been really funny if Yuta just didn't kick out and then just immediately stood up and shrugged and walked off, like, just through the titles. Like, that would be quite funny. I also had the thought when Yuta tagged in of, like, once Pac and Claudio got taken out by Private Party and Commander, if Yuta just lay down and let one of them pin him and just went, nope, and then just got up and walked off. I thought they could have done something like that. It would have been quite good fun. But anyway, apparently he was very angered by a schoolboy roll-up. I mean, then he was slapped in the face, so then he was, like, properly angry, and he went proper savage, attacking the hand that Moxley hit with the hammer, and then locked in the cattle mutilation. Shout out to Bryan Danielson for the submission. And I actually predicted Blackpool Combat Club to lose the titles here, so that's me 1 out of 4 now on my predictions, which, yeah, it's going great. It's going just as great as Dynamite, honest. And I put, fair enough, this forces them to continue to be a trio, which is a fun dynamic for now. Which, yeah, I hadn't thought of during my predictions, which is this story of Wheeler not being comfortable with Claudio and Pac kind of ends when they lose the titles, because it turns into a story of him fighting them, right? But at the moment, they're kind of being forced to team together. So that story's interesting for the time being. Obviously, it'll develop eventually. But at the moment, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. So yeah, I get it. I get why that went against what I predicted. Anyway, next we had a video package for the Outrunners cheating at a fun fair, like fun fair games, the basketball one, which was funny. But they didn't pick the Gengar toy as their prize, so that's a heel turn in my book. Up next was the triple threat between Hologram, Dralistico, and Beast Mortos. And I said in my predictions, and I wrote it in my notes again, I've no idea who Dralistico is. Has he been on AEW TV before this? I don't remember him. Anyway, apparently, according to Tony Schiavone, he's Rush's brother, which I didn't know. He's very impressive. He didn't look out of place with the other two, and they're both great. Like, Hologram and Beast Mortos, I'm a big fan of both. Towards the end of the match, Dralistico and Mortos decided to team up for just arbitrarily. Dralistico was like, hey, let's team up, and Beast Mortos was like, okay. That backfired, and Hologram ended up winning with a roll-up on Dralistico, which I predicted Hologram to win, pinning Dralistico, but I'm not giving myself bonus points. That's just 2 out of 5. After the match, Dralistico and Beast Mortos started butting heads as if they were a long-established tag team who just had a miscommunication. And then Rush came down and reassembled La Facción Ingobernable with the 2 losers of the match. So they're off to a great start, this faction. They've been united by losing so far. So hopefully they get some better results going forward. But yeah. Next was an interview with Chris Statlander, who talked about picking her spots. It was a very arrogant interview. She talked about if you built a female wrestler for the ground up, shout out JBL, you wouldn't even picture something as good as Chris Statlander. Like she's really leaning into the arrogance now. And her saying she's picking her spots and taking her time, and she's not so insecure as to complain about not being on the show. It's as good an explanation as any for why she can't take that momentum from her win over Willow and challenge for a title, because both women's titles are held by heels at the moment, and yeah, they don't do that a lot. So yeah, she just has to win that match and then do nothing. Suppose she could go into another non-title feud, but like, you know, we've had one significant non-title women's feud out of AEW. Let's not get greedy. Let's not get greedy. Okay, up next is probably the longest paragraph I wrote. MXM Collection came out for Max Caster's new jacket reveal. the person under the cover was moving a lot while they were talking, which I was like, is that a botch? Like, because surely that's meant to be stood there as if it's going to be a mannequin. And I put, it's going to be Caster, right? One of the weirdest things about this whole segment was that even Riccaboni was way into it. Like, Riccaboni's a babyface commentator, like, but he's just way into MXM, which I found baffling, and so did Tony Schiavone. I put, it's fun, but on a 2-hour show with 8 matches, it's a bit of a waste of time. 8 matches on a 2-hour show, that's an average of 15 minutes if you do nothing else on the show per match. An average, and some of them are going to be longer in some of the main events, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, Mason and Mansoor, that's auto-corrected, I typed it wrong, Mansoor, there we go. Introduced a bunch of models wearing some clothes. I wasn't really paying that much attention to what each one was wearing and what they were saying about it, to be honest. I was more paying attention to the fact that this segment was dragging and was just eating into time on an 8-match card in 2 hours. But anyway, yeah, they all had masks on sticks of Mason and Mansoor's faces to cover their faces. And then, yeah, they revealed the guy under the cover, and it's not Max. And I was like, what's even the point? And I put, I love a bit of silly, but this is dragging. But Hans is ripped, though. And then it turns out it's Billy Gunn. I didn't even realise it was Billy Gunn. I don't know, did anyone else, like, instantly recognise Billy Gunn by his physique? Because I just didn't. Like, down Billy Gunn. Congrats. Like, Billy Gunn's, like, what, late 50s? Is he by now? Maybe? Is he? He can't be 60 yet. It must be late 50s, though. Anyway, it looks good, man. Looks good. Anyway, he obviously attacked the MXM collection, and then all the models attacked Billy. Then the Acclaim make the save. I put very long, very silly, not that entertaining. It was quite mid in terms of entertainment value. Caster put on the jacket, and MXM got really angry at him for doing that, despite the fact that didn't they say they stole his jacket so they could make it better for him? So shouldn't they want him to wear it? Anyway, whatever. Back to wrestling, eh? On this wrestling show, this sports based alternative. Remember when they were advertised as that? When they advertised themselves as that? Hangman Adam Page versus Jeff Jarrett's next. I only just noticed that Page's Tron is him burning down Swerve's house, like him sat in front of it. Hilarious. Like, by the way, when I said 1 of 2, the other best character work in wrestling at the moment is Hangman Adam Page. Like, his obsession with Swerve is tremendous. I love it. Even though he's got, like, even with him, he's still not over it, and I love that. I put in my notes, WTF has Juice come as. He was wearing, like, the top half of a lumberjack attire, and then just wrestling trunks. Like, he just looked like he'd forgot his pants. I don't know, it looked tremendous. I love Juice. I love it. So I thought the idea of this match was that all the lumberjacks hate Hangman, but Dark Order, who, to be fair, are heels, I think, and Bang Bang Gang, who I think are faces, both attacked Jarrett as well with the straps, which I thought the whole narrative of this match was going to be no one bothering to attack Jarrett, everyone just looking the other way when he ended up outside the ring, and then all dogpiling Page. I thought that was going to be the point, but apparently not. Anyway, so later in the match, Hangman was lining up a buckshot lariat, and Juice just whipped him with the strap, even though the rules of this strap match, get that into your head, were that the wrestler's feet have to be on the floor outside the ring for them to be strapped. So yeah, that was like naughty. And then Page kicked off, and then Jarrett ended up climbing up to the top and diving out onto Page, Juice, and everyone else who'd like gathered to catch Jarrett for his little stage dive. Page somehow got hold of a strap. I think he took Juice's. And then back in the ring, Jarrett went for a stroke, but Page pushed him off and then whipped him with the strap. So apparently there's no rules in this as well. This has been the theme of the night, right? The rules that have been established either through decades of professional wrestling history or very specifically through, like, being explained to us on TV just don't seem to apply in any of these matches. Then Karen Jarrett came in to protect Jeff, and Hangman was threatening to whip Karen with the strap. Jay Lethal slid in to sort of protect Karen and took a whipping for her. But then Jeff Jarrett's got hold of a strap from somewhere else. I think like maybe Satnam Singh gave him his strap or something, and was whipping Paige, who went to the outside, and then everyone dogpiled Paige, which was kind of the moment this was building to. Then Jarrett had hold of Hangman in the ring, and Karen Jarrett was whipping him in the ring, so again, so much for that rule. Yeah, I put here, the rules have gone to pot. Then Aubrey must have been distracted, or maybe she just didn't care. Was it even Aubrey? I don't even remember who the referee was. The referee must have been distracted, because Hangman hit a low blow on Jarrett and then hit Dead Eye for a 3, which I predicted Hangman to win. So 3 from 6, yay! I am so good. I'm so good. Bow, bow, so good. Anyway, after the match, the Bang Bang Gang started helping Jarrett up, even though they'd been whipping him during the match. Consistency. Then Hangman and Adam Page like wrapped a strap around Juice's neck and tried to hang him over the top rope with it, but obviously he got saved by the guns pretty quickly. And then I put next match for Page, question mark. Up next was the Continental Championship Eliminator match, which just means if Sammy Guevara wins, he gets a shot at the title, and he already announced it would be at Dynamite 5, which is this Wednesday. I put Dustin came out briefly with Sammy, because obviously you can't have any seconds in Continental Rules matches. But Dustin still came out with Sammy just to remind us we're supposed to be cheering him at the moment, because I don't think there's many less likable wrestlers. Like he's just got a natural arrogance to him that just makes you want to boo him. Anyway, someone on commentary, I can't remember who now, I think it might have been Matt Bernard, said, is there a more spectacular wrestler in AEW than Sammy Guevara? Hologram? Ricochet? Will Ospreay? Keep it going in the comments, guys. I'm sure we can list a bunch of more spectacular wrestlers. Like, Sammy Guevara is spectacular, don't get me wrong, but he's not. But the answer to Daddy Magic's question is yes. Yes, there are more spectacular wrestlers. Anyway, as soon as this match kicked off, Hangman vs. Juice was announced in a little graphic in the bottom corner for Dynamite 5, so called it. I put this was a good match. Sammy took a gnarly back body drop onto the steps. Like, it looked awesome, but it looked rough as well. Okada won with the Rainmaker. There's loads of stuff happened in this match, loads of good character work from, you know, the usual stuff from Okada, usual heelish stuff. There was a moment where Ian Riccaboni said, you don't see Okada going up to the top rope much. And it's like, sure, if you watch all his matches with your eyes shut, he nearly always does that body slam, move the cameraman, at top rope elbow drop. Near enough every match, right? So I don't know who Ian Riccaboni's been watching, but it ain't Okada. Anyway, yeah, I predicted Okada to win, so 4 out of 7. We managed to scrape it above 50-50, which looked really unlikely when I was on 1 out of 4. So, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that as a result, to be honest. I put overall this was a good show. Somehow, it felt less rushed than Dynamite, even though there was 60% more matches. Like, there was only 5 matches on Dynamite. And I said in my review that some of it felt a bit rushed. Somehow, this didn't feel as rushed. I felt it was going to be. And I felt like the MXM stuff was really unnecessary, because that could have been like 5 minutes added to a couple of matches. But overall, I didn't feel like much felt rushed. Maybe the women's opener felt a bit car crash-y and a bit rushed. But not many of the other matches really felt like they needed to go any longer. I mean, obviously, one of the matches was Brody King Action Andretti, which probably went like a couple of minutes. But yeah, I didn't really feel like anything was really rushed. So I don't know quite how they pulled that off, but I guess they floated a lot of the matches around that 15-minute average mark. And then you had the Brody King Action Andretti match that only went a couple of minutes that allowed for that MXM collection segment. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I thought it was a good show. I thought Grand Slam as a whole was very enjoyable. I think Dynamite was obviously a bit better, but Dynamite's kind of the main show, and Collision's a bit secondary. But they still had, like, Okada on the show. Yeah, and he's a big name. so I was going to start listing off other names, but I'm struggling to think of all the main eventers that they had on the show. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new here for more wrestling content. Share with your friends if they watch the show and you think they'd like to hear my thoughts and get involved in the comments. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been EBEZA, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.